A young English military commander and writer named Walter Raleigh, who had begun his career in France, established himself at the English court and soon became a favorite courtier of Queen Elizabeth I. England was determined to establish settlements in the New World, and in 1584, Queen Elizabeth renewed a patent which gave Raleigh the right to explore, colonize, and govern new settlements in America. The Queen insisted that all the laws passed in this new land must be in harmony with the laws of England. On April 27, 1584, Raleigh sent out an expedition to explore the American coast and decide on the site for the future English colony. Sailing through the West Indies, they landed on Roanoke Island off the Carolina coast in early July. Here they were given a great feast by the Indians of a small village in Roanoke. And after 2 months of exploring and trading with the native people, they returned to England with reports that the coastal region was densely populated with very handsome and goodly people. These Indians, the most southerly of the Algonquin coastal people, enjoyed prosperous lives with abundant hunting, fishing, and farming. The chief of the Roanoke region, Chief Wingina, saw the English explorers as potential allies who could help him extend his authority to other surrounding villages. So he granted them permission to establish their settlement on Roanoke Island. When Raleigh presented Queen Elizabeth with the reports of the expedition, she was extremely pleased that he had named the new territory Virginia for the Virgin Queen, and promptly knighted Raleigh for his successful efforts. He would now forever be known as Sir Walter Raleigh. In April 1585, Sir Walter Raleigh sent out a colonizing expedition consisting of 108 men, with Ralph Lane appointed as governor. Under his leadership, the colony explored the area and relied upon the Indians to help them find food.
They'd never been in the country. They really didn't know what the country was about. They didn't know how to hunt. They didn't know how to fish. Most of them had never been outside London in their entire lives. So they had no idea how to help themselves. When the natives cut off support, Ralph Lane, the military governor of the colony, decided that the natives were guilty of treason.
War finally broke out in the spring of 1586, and although the colonists won an easy victory, unrest and distress continued to worsen. Raleigh sent out another expedition to America on May 8, 1587, with more than 100 men, women, and children. He appointed John White governor of the colony. They had been instructed by Raleigh to proceed on to the Chesapeake region, where a more suitable English base for action against the Spanish might be established. But the ship's pilot refused to sail further, and the expedition was forced to remain on Roanoke Island. The Algonquin people were by now extremely distrustful of the English intruders, and intermittent fighting began to break out between them and the settlers. That August, in 1587, John White's daughter Eleanor gave birth to a little girl named Virginia. She was the first English child to be born in the New World. Shortly afterward, a controversy over who would return to England sprang up, and it was finally decided that White should go. Reluctantly, he sailed for England, and he was not able to return to Roanoke for 2 years. When he returned to the island in 1590, he discovered no trace of the colony, except the word Croatoan cut on the doorpost of the palisade. The colonists had agreed to leave a sign if they moved from Fort Roanoke.
When he returned in 1590, everything was gone. The real mystery to this story is not what happened to the people, because a wilderness the size of America in 1590 could very easily absorb 116 people without a trace. The loss of the people comes as no surprise to historians. But the entire town vanished.
The fate of Raleigh's colony remains a mystery. It has been assumed that the colonists went to the friendly Croatoans, but it has also been suggested that, like the Huguenots before them, they had become victims of the Spanish. Today, many historians believe that the men and women probably went to Croatoan, an Indian settlement north of Roanoke, and lived out the rest of their lives beside the Algonquin villagers. But the first English settlers would forever be remembered as the lost colony. Their disappearance and ultimate fate is one of the enduring mysteries of colonial history.
So why was Virginia named Virginia? Oh, by the way, you're right there. Virginia was named after ourselves. We were known as the Virgin Queen. Well, of course, you've read that in your textbook. There it is, the Virgin Queen. But why was she called the Virgin Queen? Why were we called the Virgin Queen? Because we never married. But why did we never marry? Let us explain. In England of the 16th century, women could not hold property. We could not hold titles at all. We were simply meant to be married and have children. We did not receive much of an education. However, if we were of the upper class, we received a few things such as reading, languages, but we were more or less expected to learn how to take care of the house. So anytime a gentleman in our family died, the men would inherit the estate, the money, the titles, everything, and therefore the best thing for a woman to do was to be married. Now you're saying, so why are you telling me this? Well, imagine a woman of great power and of royal blood. When I ascended the throne in 1553, I was expected to marry. But what would I be giving up if I did so? I would be giving up the right to make decisions for England to a man who would be king. And also, I would be marrying another country. France, Spain, Portugal, Austria. Any of those countries could become in charge of England. We did not like this idea. We wanted England to be strong within itself. And therefore, I very often said, I am married to my country, when I would ever be approached as to why I never married. Therefore, the succession, when I would die, became a very, very difficult decision. In the end, I gave it to my nephew, King James, who was the son of Mary Stuart. And therefore, that would be why the name of Jamestown was given to the next established colony. So therefore, you have now learned why Virginia is called Virginia, after ourselves, the Virgin Queen. So what of technology? Was there technology in the 16th century? Absolutely. In fact, earlier than the 16th century, a famous artist in the beginning of the Renaissance known as Leonardo da Vinci invented something called la camera obscura, something very close to what we are using right now to filming this, except it was a great box and it used a series of mirrors and glasses to literally take a frozen picture of a room. Now, it could only remember one picture at a time. It could capture a picture, one picture at a time, and you could not print it, I think is the word, or get a copy of it for later. But artists such as Vernier used it to create great paintings, and therefore La Camera Obscura was born. Other forms of technology involved the world of spies. So Francis Walsingham was a great spy for us during the later part of our reign. He was the master of codes. He invented cryptics and therefore used passcodes and words in order to exchange information between ourselves and our spies in Spain, France, and other places in Europe. He is known very well, and if you go to the Spy Museum here in Washington, D.C., you will learn more of him. Therefore, technology was great, but it was all in words and poetry. Also, technology in theater at this time was very great. They were inventing the fly system. What's the fly system? Do you have a series of insects? No. The fly system is when you take a great piece of scenery and you bring it down from the ceiling to the floor. That was being created, and it would allow people to fly through the air on a stage and things like that. So there was different kinds of technology than the technology that you in the 21st century use today. But if you go back and you look at the ideas behind them, they are not uncommon with yours and the curiosity with them. We hope you have enjoyed this video and therefore have learned quite a bit, and we hope even more that you are curious to find out more of the Elizabethan age and how it spurned the wonderful beginning of America.